Are you an HVAC professional looking to set your business apart? Then the Leading HVAC Podcast is your go-to resource. I'm Kimon Hines, coach and trainer at SVE. And in this podcast, we'll share stories of success and struggle from leaders in the HVAC industry. You'll hear from experienced executives, managers, and innovators, providing you with the hard-earned insights from their journeys. These insights will equip you with the knowledge you need to navigate challenges and truly lead in the ever-evolving HVAC world. Welcome back to the Leading HVAC Podcast. I'm your host, Kimon Hines, and I'm excited for today's conversation. But before we get into it, I want to remind you of a few things. First of all, if you have not subscribed to this podcast, make sure you do so. Whatever platform you're watching or listening to, please hit that subscribe button so that when other episodes come out, you will be able to be the first to know about it. And also you can go back and check out past episodes. There's some great content in there. Secondly, if you gain value from this, and I know you will, please consider sharing this. Share it with someone on your team who is also a leader. Share it with someone else who is in the same industry as you that you're networked with so that they can benefit as well. Today, our guest is Greg Matson. Greg, welcome to the podcast again.
Thanks, Kimon.
Greg is, if you've been paying attention, Greg has been a guest before. So when you listen to this episode, you can go back and listen to that one so you can kind of connect the dots and see the common thread of this conversation. But Greg, for the sake of those who don't know you, this is the first episode they're watching. They didn't watch the last one. Tell us where you are and what role you serve in and the name of your company.
We're out of Detroit, Michigan. I'm the owner of the company, and so my role is many, many hats. And what was the third question? Sorry.
Oh, what's the name of your company?
Oh, HVAC company. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, Greg, I know one of the things you're very passionate about is leadership and growth, and we're going to talk about that today. But we're recording this right now at the beginning of 2026. So one of the things I thought would be helpful is to do a trip down memory lane. It shouldn't be that far into 2025. Talk to us about what were some of the lessons that you learned from leadership and from your work in the industry in 2025.
That's a great question. I just was reminiscing on that question just a few days ago at a New Year's Eve party with a bunch of HVAC business owners, talking about how horrible 2025 was for them. Mm-hmm. And one of them was his best year ever was at 2.7, and he's fallen back to 1.9 every year. And I said, well, why do you think that is? He goes, we can't seem to break that barrier. And leadership goes right into that. So what I mean by that is starting in 2024, myself and a couple other people in the company, we started reading leadership books, do heavy leadership training. Anytime we can get exposed to leadership training, we try to take advantage of it. Having that arsenal in the back helps us deal with the personnel problems, the HR problems, the customer problems, all the things that arise, and it's not solely on my shoulders. If I was trying to do all of that, we would have never grown past the same threshold that my friends are seeing as a glass ceiling. Today, having Chad and Katie, Katie's my operations manager and Chad's my service manager, on our staff and the way they handled their staffs is critical. And them growing in their leadership capabilities along with me allows us to continue growing as a company. We could never continue on. I mean, 5 million next year looks like not an issue. And we wouldn't even be able to look at that number if it was solely on my shoulders.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So, I mean, you talk about the critical role leadership plays in the growth of a company, and maybe
number one.
Maybe we may not see that, right? And this is the reason why we have this podcast, the Leading HVAC Podcast, because we believe leadership is so essential to the growth of any organization, particularly in the HVAC industry. And you talk about Chad and Katie and their leadership, and I've been on calls and I've seen them more, even more in these
Yeah.
leadership classes. Talk to us about what was the thought behind having them in more leadership training, and just tell us their roles because maybe sometimes people think this person in this role, I need them in the field, I need them working, but you've put them into more leadership training and talk to us about why you did that.
I was exposed to leadership prior to SPE personally,
Mhm.
and understood the value in it, and it's what precipitated the growth. I mean, we started at zero as a
Mhm.
company, and so it's what helped me just empower employees to do the right thing in their own occupation. I wasn't really developing any leaders. And I think I sat down at a dinner with Jim Probst, and Derek was there, and they had come to visit to Michigan, and Jim was talking about some of the spots where I really needed to pay attention to get through if I didn't have leadership. And one of them was like the $3 million mark, and then the next one usually 10 to 12 million. And if you don't have a really strong couple layers of leadership in place by the time you get there, you're not going to be able to continue to grow. And I listened to him when he said that. I mean, I took that to heart. And within a month or two, I was able to get some buy-in from Katie and Chad, and they both started, and we started um, uh, educating ourselves as a group as much as possible and developing. And you're right, leadership is not a tangible thing. It's not something to say, "Oh, I got," or a
Yes.
destination. It's not, "Oh, I figured it out. I have leadership now." It's
Yeah.
just so not it. And until you're in a position where you're utilizing something you learned in a book or something you heard, and then you start doing it on a regular basis, you don't really see or feel it. It's not something that you can just get.
Yeah.
Um,
What role are Chad and Katie?
so
Katie.
so Chad's service manager,
Okay.
and he is one of those guys where you cringe at the thought of putting extra responsibilities on him because he was just a hair away from over and above and beyond this year. And it's easy to say, well, if I didn't put those responsibilities on him, maybe he would have had more time. Maybe he could have got to his goal, and that was his goal. I have zero doubt in my mind Chad will crush that next year. It's not an issue, and he's been empowered with even more skills. So I believe that that's not going to be an issue with him for next year. But helping Chad understand how to help his employees,
Yeah.
and help, and we've incentivized Chad to do that too. So it's not just read this book and go do this with these guys. It's I want you to bring up those guys like you. You're going to have to learn to articulate what you've learned and replicate those skills in your staff. And that takes time, energy, skills, training on his part, training on their part, coordinating both. That's why I'm super excited for the conference and having the service manager training, and then the other training. I'm really, really excited for that class for him.
Yeah.
Um, but typically, I know that can go either way when you take your best guy out of the field to do that too. But Chad is a no excuses type of person. So
Hmm.
when it comes to, I need help in this department, or I need help with this task, he's the first one to jump up and execute it without question.
Yeah.
So I think we've worked out a great compensation plan for him with that, and help supplement anything that he may lose in time from the field. And meanwhile, he's duplicating himself.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm taking the best guy out of the field. I'm duplicating more best guys doing it. So
Yeah. That's such a,
it's a different thought process. It's not always the most popular,
yeah.
but it seems to be working with us.
Yeah. And what about Katie? What's her role?
So Katie started with us in 2019, and I think I was just under $1 million a year at that time, really struggling. And she started in July, which was literally our busiest week of the entire year. It was right after July 4th. It was like 100 degrees every day here, which for Michigan, that's like 130 in Phoenix. And she started as just my assistant. And I literally put her in my truck with a pad of paper and a pen, and I'm like, answer these phone calls, tell them you'll call them back, and just answer it as quick as you can because the phone's going to blow up. And that was her first day at work. From that point in time, Katie went from my assistant to getting more responsibility with regards to HR, not just answering the phone as a basic CSR dispatch person, but handling office responsibilities too, to the point where she became the office manager. And so her staff was the people within the office, and she's done such an amazing job at doing that
Hmm.
that it seemed like a natural fit, and it definitely, I mean, Chad's been with me 25 years, and so he was always, my go-to person, and now I have two, and they're equal, and they're in different, they're lateral in their levels on the org chart, but they are completely different responsibilities.
Yeah.
Katie is now the operations manager.
Okay.
She has the authority to do anything without asking me in this business
Wow.
because I have the utmost trust in her to do so.
Yeah.
Not to say she doesn't, and we feed off of each other all day, every day, but she does not have to ask my permission to get something done. And
Yeah.
that's how much
Yeah.
trust I have in her. She executes to an extremely high level.
Yeah.
So,
Greg, one of the things I pick up from you is people development is very important to you and to your company. So you
yeah.
tell the story of um, Chad, who is an excellent service technician. His role has now shifted to development of other technicians to replicate him. And you tell the story of Katie, who comes in, right, as your assistant and now is operations manager. And there is a path of people development. Talk to a leader who might say to you, Greg, I'm really good at the doing of this, but how do I develop people? What are some things that I should work on? Maybe some resources I should do, maybe some mentorship. What should I do so that I can be good at developing people and have a culture of people development?
It's all of those things, and it doesn't happen overnight. So mentorship's huge. I
Mhm,
have two mentors personally.
mhm,
I strongly suggest it. A lot of the major decisions or financial decisions, I will run by one of them, or if
mhm.
not both. And it's really funny because both mentors always come up with the same answers. So
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
crazy how that works, right? It just means I have two amazing ones. And but it also takes mentoring those guys. And so we're having sessions on a regular basis. It's stronger than like a review level conversation. And it's complete transparency. So there's no animosity or any punitive type of discussions in that. It's if we want to grow to here, how do you see that happening?
Hmm.
As far as resources go, yeah, everything you can get them involved in,
Mm,
everything,
mm,
whether it's a seminar or a conference coming up, or books or Zooms or whatever you can immerse them in leadership, they will start absorbing it. And it does not happen overnight. It takes years and years and years and years. And the sooner you do it, the faster you'll see the exponential growth because you will get it when they get it.
yeah. I like that in terms of like exposure, right? Making
It's
sure.
it's it's all, it's everything.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
it's anything you can get in their heads.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a good point. Sometimes we think when I have a team member, what are they doing? I need them doing. And what I'm hearing
Right.
from you is not just what they're doing, but what are they learning? What are they being exposed to? You're going to get a much better team member because of the work that you put into developing them. And speaking about development, I know last year you and those who are watching this, Greg is sold out to coaching and training.
I
His
am.
team members show up to online and in person. And Greg, you've been a part of hosting what we call an on-site training. So if you're not familiar with SB, Service Business Evolution, we're a coaching and training organization. We do online and in-person training and coaching, and we do on-site training. And so we have trainings that we bring to our contractors. And so Greg, last year you did something interesting. You hosted an on-site training in partnership with another company. And you and I were talking about it before that I felt that was pretty unique,
Sure.
admirable that two companies would say, maybe we can't do this on our own. Maybe we could, but it's probably better if we bring our technicians together. Talk to us about that, and maybe I'll give you some other questions after. But just talk to us about the thinking behind partnering with another contractor to bring training to your team.
Again, training is kind of like leadership, whether it's your training skills or your training leadership. You don't always see those results immediately, and it
Hmm.
takes time and it's
Hmm.
developing skills.
Hmm.
Anytime I can get our guys in front of a coach that understands the process, especially trusted technician process, I want to be able to utilize that. And yeah, at that point in time, I don't know that I it looked way more attractive to have James from Complete Home Comfort and our staff involved in the same training. We do cross our territories barely cross each other. Not really. We're not direct competitors by any means. We both trust each other. Our guys know each other. And it worked out really, really well, especially the again, the thing that preceded that was the Nashville training with Corey for the Comfort Advisor class last year. He started doing Zoom meetings after the training. So it wasn't just an on-site training or in that case
Hmm.
a regional training. It was the follow-up to that. And I found that follow-up to be incredibly helpful because
Hmm.
now it's not just here's the training, go out on your own, good luck, hope it works. It's that, oh, it didn't work. Well, let's see why. Let's
Yeah.
refine it. Let's continue. Let's develop your skills in what we initially taught you. So I saw that. And so when the opportunity was exposed to me, to do the on-site, it made a lot of sense with the follow-up to that on-site. And yeah, our guys were involved in Zoom meetings for weeks after that with Chris, and again, developing their skills. It also allowed the coach to do ride-alongs with the guys to know exactly who the person was he was teaching, not their name, but their skills in the
Yeah.
field, and be able to help, maneuver those so that they would be better.
Yeah. Just I just think it's admirable. And for anyone listening to this, you said there's some crossover, but for the most part, yourself and the other company, you're
Yeah.
hour and a half apart. But I still think the thinking of collaboration is what I would encourage other leaders to take from what you, Greg, and James did. Just collaborate. Who can I collaborate with? So many times we may think competition, right? Because this is a competitive industry
Absolutely.
and competitive business. But there are times if we think collaboration, we can get so much more. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I do. So I was first exposed to SB through a trusted technician course that was brought to Detroit, Michigan by a vendor. And so that course had probably, I want to say 7 or 8 different companies along with their employees involved in this trusted technician class, all within our area. Um, James was one of the ones that bought into the class, the processes of SBE, and didn't look at it as a menu, but looked at it as a process. And what
Hmm.
I mean by that is I was literally with some friends that used to try certain things in SBE, but they wouldn't try the whole process. And it's sort of like getting your cereal without milk. It's just not the same thing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and the end result's not the same.
yeah,
And that's what they found. But I knew James was committed, so I didn't have a problem asking him or vice versa. I don't even remember which one of us asked each other, but it was an instant, heck yeah, let's do this.
yeah,
Because if we can combine our resources to help our guys move forward in their skills and their careers, it's a no-brainer. Why would I hold back? So yeah, collaboration, absolutely important.
yeah,
And being creative with that sometimes is helpful.
yeah. Now, Greg, as we talk about this, we are in 2026, and you mentioned 2025, some of the lessons learned. But what is your outlook for 2026, and what are some of the things you're looking forward to, and maybe even some of the challenges that you anticipate ahead as a leader in this industry?
2026 looks really, really bright for us. We had 25 was stellar through June. We did that 410A conversion to 454 refrigerant conversion on all of our equipment. I had a little, some of my pricing was a little messed up from that when I did it, and it was shy. So after 6 months and two quarterly P&Ls, I'm like, wait a minute, we're bleeding somewhere. And I was able to look at the financials and figure out where. So we've redone our pricing just recently, and the comfort advisors and the sales techs are having zero issues executing on those elevated
Yes.
numbers, which are fantastic. And so I'm really looking at 26 now. We came out of 2025 plus 45% over 2024.
Wow.
December was a plus 48% over 24 December. So yeah, I really feel like we're riding a really strong wave right now with monthlies between 20 and 50% increases. So I cannot wait to see what the end of 26 looks like with the staff we have and where we're going with those guys.
Wow.
Um, I,
I just had to say, wow,
it's a team,
45%.
it's a team effort. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Ann said too when I was on the phone with her yesterday for our monthly coaching. It literally was 48% or 45%, 48 for December.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, Greg, it's interesting that you say there's growth in 25, but I'm also optimistic about 26.
even more
And
so.
there's something you said, and I want to make sure we don't miss this. You said we looked at our P&L, and that's our profit and loss statement for those who may not
Right,
know.
right.
You're looking at your numbers. And as a leader, how important is it to make sure you're on top of the numbers?
I do it weekly.
Wow.
And when you're getting bigger, and I'm not big by any means, but when you're getting bigger and you're growing, 10% becomes a really big number to be off after a few months. And so I was starting to see a trend, and that's where I was doing a deep dive into my numbers.
Mhm.
I look at our numbers weekly, and I'm doing the plus and minuses on the gross margin and making sure the KPIs are falling in line where they should be. That has to happen.
Yeah.
And if you don't, it can slip away from you really, really quickly.
Yeah.
That number grew fairly quickly over a 6 month period, but I don't look at it at 5 years ago. I would have looked at it like, oh my gosh, I'm going to remortgage my house. I'm going out of business. How are we going to eat in 6 more months and all that? And it's just a couple of percent. You just change a couple things
Yeah.
and the ball
Yeah.
starts going in the other direction immediately.
Yeah.
And so it's a non-issue.
Yeah. Well,
Having that
great.
control, answering that question, having that control and observance over your finances gives you the confidence to be able to course correct if needed. And you always need to course correct. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Greg, you mentioned the conference.
mhm.
So, our SBE conference is taking place in February. It'll be in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and there is that special training that's there for technicians at the SBE facility where they can walk through a house and get there. Maybe you mentioned that, but what is one thing you're looking forward to at the conference, and why would you encourage another leader, another manager to bring their team members to the conference? What are you looking forward to, and why would you encourage someone else to attend?
I've already mentioned it. And the reason I did is I recently took some people down to Orlando for the Comfort Advisor class and with Corey.
Mhm.
And we were talking with Chad, and he literally said, like, your position is one of the most important positions in the country as a service manager. And having the training behind that and equipping him properly with the skills he needs to handle his staff and continue developing his staff. That's a gigantic revenue generating department.
Mhm.
So to have that in place properly and functioning properly is incredibly important. So that's not a class I've seen from SB before,
Hmm.
and I'm really, really excited about Chad being in that class. I won't be with him in that class because I know he's going to be able to handle whatever he gets thrown at him with shining stars. So,
Yeah.
Katie and I will be in anything that leads towards the leadership side, but
Yeah.
not that Chad shouldn't be also, but that is just a huge class, and I'm super excited for him to be able to be in it.
Yeah. And then maybe you're talking to another leader. They're thinking about sending team members to the conference, showing up to the conference, but there's apprehension, right? It's
Sure.
February 11th to the 13th in Chandler, Arizona, and you're thinking all of the resources to get them there, the revenue that's not going to be
It's not
generated.
cheap.
Yeah. But
Cheap.
why should they attend or why
Yeah,
should they bring the team members?
absolutely. The first year I went, I brought two techs with me.
Hmm.
One was did 300,000, I think, the year before. And the other one coming into that conference had done $485,000. That was Chad. Is he saw the guys walking across stage that were absolutely normal, everyday guys doing a million plus, and he was infuriated with himself that he didn't produce that much. The following year, he produced over $1 million. This is his third year. He's at 1.486. Again, just one system underneath the highest level.
Wow.
Um, he would not, and the other guy went from three, and I think Jacob is a silver, just a hair under gold on this
Hmm.
one. So, yes, it's not cheap, but I think it's a lot more expensive to not go and bring people with
Ooh, that's such a good point. That is such a good point.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, there is nothing like seeing your peers achieve numbers that you thought were impossible for you that to expand
Absolutely.
your mind. There's the training that's involved. And for you as an owner, a leader, a manager, you have a chance to rub shoulders, to network with others who are doing the same thing, others who may be a little bit ahead of you, maybe others who are less have less experience in the journey, but you get to pour back in. I just think you cannot miss the experiences February 11th to 13th, Chandler, Arizona. Greg, thank you. Thank you for giving us a second interview at the beginning of 2026. Thank you for being a part of our leadership and our trainings and everything that's involved. And we look forward to you having a great year again in 2026. Maybe we'll do one in 2027
You
to
never
hear how things went. But thank you for being a part of this podcast today.
come on. Thank you for inviting me. I always appreciate it. I hope somebody gets some help from it. And I can't wait to see you guys in Chandler, Arizona.
Awesome. And for those of you who watch this, again, we want to encourage you to make sure you subscribe. And I told you would get good value. So because you did, please share it with someone. And we encourage you to continue to lead well. Thank you for listening to the Leading HVAC Podcast. If you would like to learn more about SBE, you can find us online at sbeodyssey.com. That's sbeodyssey.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review on this podcasting platform. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.